Hi everybody, welcome to my patio. I'm Rusty Blackwood and I would like to welcome you to Get on the Patio with Rusty Blackwood, video 11. We have one more to go and then the series will be completed. I have had a ball doing these videos and I hope that those of you who are on the other side of this screen watching these videos will have enjoyed them fully as much as I have bringing them to you. Today is August the 29th, almost to the end. In fact, I did my end of month newsletter today and sent it out as I do in the last week of every month. Actually, sometimes I almost run right out of time. You know, time goes by so fast. And I look at the calendar and it's like, oh my, one more day to go, or this is the very last day and I haven't done the newsletter. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I do a monthly newsletter at the end of every month. And it's just, I don't want to say it's an impromptu thing like these videos are, but I try to keep it as informative as I can. I try to keep good graphics on it, have tons of information to let you know what I've been doing in my literary world for that month, any happenings that or events that I've taken part in or have been, you know, um, me, the primary person, and of course my books and my latest release, The Perils of Autumn. Um, and so I've been doing this now for, oh, it must be 4 years, if not more. In fact, I think it could be more than that. I'd have to go back through my library on my website to find out, because they're all there. You can go back. If you go to my journal, at the top of my home page, you'll see a bar. And on there are little areas, like little buttons, to click on for different pages of the website that you might like to check out. And so if you go to journal, which is actually my blog, but we put it on there as journal instead of blog. It's a little bit more old-fashioned, and actually I like the name journal much better than I do blog. But maybe that's because I'm not a techie person, like right up to date on the latest device that's come out. I mean, like, I could care less. As long as I can have access to the internet and I can get on the internet and I can go and do what I have to do while I'm on the internet. That's all I care about. I don't care whether, it's the very latest thing. Um, I know tons of people are. And I mean, I don't even sit here with my cell phone in my hand. I have a cell phone. The number of my cell phone is on my business cards that I give out. Anybody that wants to contact me contacts me through that number of my cell phone. And I check it daily, or usually daily. I have it with me if I'm expecting a call. But other than that, I'm not one of these ones that sit there with the cell phone attached to my fingers and constantly having to look at that cell phone, where I can't even answer somebody that comes in the room because I'm just so totally immersed in what I'm seeing on this dinky screen. And or if I want to talk to somebody in the same room, sit there and text to them. How lame is that? I know. How does it look? Hello, I can't talk to you in person, but I will talk to you on this keypad on my phone. You want to correspond with me? I know I must come off sounding like some person stuck back in, the late 20th century at least, if not earlier than that. But, like, I don't care. I grew up in a time when you wanted to talk to somebody, you went and you used the telephone. If you were out somewhere and you needed help or you needed to call home or whatever, you went to a payphone, you made sure you had change in your pocket, in your purse, and you went to a phone booth, and that's how you corresponded. Um, I think cell phones are great for those situations to have with you in case of an emergency, in case you need to get in touch with someone, in case you need to call CAA or whatever car club you might have, and to come to help you. But just to, heaven forbid, be out of the loop for a half an hour or even less, I don't get that mindset. And it makes me, I get disgusted with it. Um, but I don't know. I know it's the way of the world. It's the way it's become. It's the way it will stay. And in a lot of ways, I think that's kind of sad. But I don't know if any of you disagree with me, or you got, different takes on it. You got different opinions on it. Like, comment. Like, talk to me, and we'll converse about it. And so, don't call me on my cell number, um, or text me. Comment it here, and I'll answer you. You know, I'm very forthright. I mean, I'm not afraid to hear somebody type something to me, or talk to me in person or anything else about something that they may differ on an opinion. Hey, that's what makes the world go round. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, and everybody has an opinion, or at least should have an opinion about things, and not be afraid to say it and discuss it, because if you don't, nothing gets solved. Um, you stagnate. And to me, I've got I got a lot of opinions about a lot of things that go on in the world today, which is my right to have. And so far, my right to talk about, or my right to say how I feel. I mean, we haven't digressed so badly that we still can't, speak or say what we wish. Um, I mean, I don't support going around trashing people, and I don't support, negative attitudes and doom and gloom and so many things of the way it is nowadays. But I'm telling you, people need to educate themselves. They need to know what is going on. Know what's going on in the world, know what's going on with their government, know what's going on in their own communities and neighborhoods. Um, that's my views on that. And as I say, for those that would like to tell me a different opinion or whatever, then please feel free to do so. Um, you never have to worry that, I'm going to tear somebody's head off, because I'm not like that. And I'm mellowing in my old age. And oh well, what can you do? I have a birthday coming up in just, let me see, not even 5 weeks now, and and I suppose some people figure, well, hey, you reached another milestone, you know, as far as years are concerned, or age. Um, but in a lot of ways, age is a number. A lot of people believe that age is a number. Uh, and I think in a lot of ways, age is a number. Then and again, um, you sometimes you can think that, but your body is telling you differently. You know I'm not 30 anymore, and I know that I can't do the things that I did when I was 30. And that can be frustrating, so frustrating. But you learn to accept what you can't change. And I think the sooner that you can do that, the better off you are. I think there's a heck of a lot less stress. Um, like you're just, the anxiety level is reduced. And I just think you can cope better. You feel better. Um, like do whatever you have to feel as good as you can. Like look after yourselves. You know, pay attention to what you put in your body, and try to be and stay as active as you can. That's one thing with writing. You sit at a keyboard, and you know you're all alone. Very rarely is there anybody around you, and you sit there, you and your keyboard, and your thoughts of what's in your head that you want to express in words, um, in whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're writing a book, whether you're just writing for the sake of, you know, you're writing in a journal that you keep online or whatever. And it's important, you know, to every once in a while get up and do some deep knee bends and do some, you know, high shrugs of your shoulders and drop them and roll your head around and this type of stuff. Or just take a break and go out and walk. Walk around the block, or walk around your house, or walk around your yard, or wherever you have access to do that. And then come back and begin again. And I think that it helps to clear your mind of maybe you were coming at a section in whatever it was you were writing that you're getting kind of bogged down, and you're not really sure where to go, where to take it. And by just stepping back and taking a break for a little while, you will find that when you do go back to it, you've got a new outlook, or you know, you've had time to think about what it was that was holding you back from carrying on and finishing. And so that's what I try to do. I'm not always regimented about it, but I do try to practice, you know, what I preach. Cheers. I'm not going to do a reading today. The last video that I did, I did a reading. I read from my children's short story collection, Through the Eyes of Innocence, and a story about Keeper of the Light, all about this kind of story that takes place in this ship that's coming toward these jagged rocks and this cliff in my fictional Peggy's Cove. Um, and it just, the story tells about these kids who have this club, and of course they're kind of mischievous, like boys, well, at least once were, when I was growing up around 12, 13 years old, and in that age group there, what boys were like, and totally different than today. They were interested in different things than they are today. But they still, they get themselves into all kinds of situations, and sometimes it, back them against the wall, that type of thing. And these two kids in this story, the one in particular, it's a leader of this local kids group, like a clubhouse and everything like that a lot of guys had, and they're always trying to get into the lighthouse. And the old guy that looks after, um, Nathaniel Marcus is his name, and he's a lighthouse keeper. And of course, it's his job to keep the light going at all times and service the lighthouse and be there. I mean, he doesn't have to be chained to it, but he still has to be there. He lives there. And then when he's not there, these kids are always trying to find a way to get in there. And so that's what the story was mainly about. And these kids go there, and the old guy he's stepped away for a bit, and they're trying to get in, and the storm is coming, and the lightning flashes show this big ship, and it looks to be, coming toward the cliff. And so they're beside themselves, like, what are we supposed to do? Like, the old guy isn't even here, and all of a sudden the lighthouse, the light goes out. And so, long story short, the guy gets back to the lighthouse, and they get in there, and they get the light going. I mean, that's a given. I mean, you can't write a story and have it end before they even get in there to get the light going again. And so, and I wrote that story based on my love of lighthouses. As I said in the video, I've always adored them. I don't know why. I don't know, when I was a very small child, whether or not I had a experience in a lighthouse that was impressed me, or my parents took me to a lighthouse that was, I saw the light going and heard the foghorn going or something, and thought, like, oh wow, like, this is impressive. It's totally round. Some are square, like triangle sort of, yet in a square, and tapered at the top. But I think the majority of lighthouses tend to be round, and I think that's because of where they're located and the force of the wind that comes up the cliffs, or straight across, that hits them. There's no exact area or protrusion, like something that's solid that the wind can get against and push. Whereas if it's round, it just, slides right around, and away it goes. But, so, as I say, I can't give an explanation of why I have always been so fascinated with lighthouses. I've often said I would have loved to have lived in one. There's more room in there than what you think. I mean, I have been in them, and see how, like, good-sized ones, and usually lighthouses that are on cliffs and things like that. They're big. You can't miss them, and there's a lot of room inside of them. When I was to the East Coast, I saw a tremendous amount of them. Wherever you go out there, you see lighthouses. They're everywhere, and because there's so much water, and you're taking ferries to go, especially from the mainland, to Prince Edward Island. At one time, you used to have to take a ferry to get off the tip of Nova Scotia onto Cape Breton Island. But now, for many, many years now, there's a causeway, a man-made causeway that you drive across, that takes you onto Cape Breton Island, and from there You know, you can go on the island and drive around and do the Cabot Trail. Wonderful drive. It's just beautiful. I've heard it said one time, and I forget who it was that told me, um, that that Cape Breton Island is as close to Scotland as you will get without being in Scotland. Now, I've not been to Scotland, but I can sure believe what I heard, because if Scotland is anything like Cape Breton Island, which is basically mainly settled by Scottish people, Scottish heritage, it was absolutely lovely. It was an education. All of the different, you can see all the different tartans, the coats of honor, and all these different places that you can stop, like out of the way places right along the roadside and things like that. They're very proud out there. They're very laid back. They don't seem to be in a hurry. They don't worry about if it doesn't get done today, it'll get done tomorrow. That seems to be the attitude. Um, in a way, that's okay, but I mean, too, you can't constantly continue to put off, or it never gets done, and sometimes, you know, there's that can cause certain circumstances to happen that, you know, you don't want. But that seems to be the mindset. I've heard it said that the east coast of Canada is behind the rest of Canada by 10 years because of their attitude and the laid back way of life. But I do think that there's the plus side to the fact that a lot of people that live out there, they're healthy. They live to be a very, very old age. Um, they eat properly. They're not stressed out about stuff. And so maybe it's like a dozen of this and, you know, a dozen of that, this type of thing. And they just, you know, blend it all together and it works for them. But I certainly enjoyed my time when I was out there, extremely so. I've been to the East Coast twice. First time in 1990, and then the second time in 2005. And then in 25, it was just to Prince Edward Island. That's my favorite area out there to go to and to spend time. Um, as a writer, the inspiration on that island is just tremendous. It really is. And I wasn't there very long, and I had the urge to, you know, sit down and scribble right away, ideas coming, just, you know, practically flooding the mind of different things that you see, and the feel of the atmosphere around you. It's like electrified in a lot of ways. And there's the ocean right at your feet, or right there. It's the Northumberland Strait, but still, you know, depending on what side of the island you're on. But it's just, you know, you can taste the salt in the air. Um, it's refreshing. It's wonderful for the skin. It's wonderful for the sinuses. You don't have congestion. It's just constantly clear. You can breathe just so deeply, and the air is so cleansing and so fresh. It's until you experience that, it's hard to put that into description in words. So, as I said, if you ever get the chance to visit um, the east coast of Canada, uh, you know, don't pass it by. go, and you won't be sorry, because it's really a wonderful place. Um, there's a lot to offer there. They're so friendly. People, you never have to worry about people looking at you with a sour look on their face or grimacing, and everybody that you meet, they all tip their hat. They say hello, where are you from? Um, they'll strike up a conversation over the least little thing, and that's nice. I think it helps to put people at ease. I think there's nothing worse than going places where people are in such a hurry. Um, and you're pushed and you're shoved no matter where you go. You can't stop and look at anything without somebody pushing you over out of the way or getting in front of you. No manners, if they ever learned any. They certainly don't use them. And that's a great comparison there that I could compare what I'm talking about to is Niagara Falls here in Ontario. Terrible. Um, it is one of the seven wonders of the world. People come from all over the world to see the falls, both the American and the Horseshoe Falls, the Canadian Horseshoe. Which of the two falls, the Canadian Horseshoe, and I don't say this just because I'm Canadian, but it really, really is lovely. And it is a horseshoe, and it just comes right around like a horseshoe. And it is beautiful. It really is. Whereas the American Falls is just one straight, one straight line, like, well, it's jagged, of course, but I mean, there's no curvature around to the American Falls, whereas the Horseshoe Falls, it has that interest to it. But the people that come there, so ignorant and so, you know, push and grab, and it makes anybody's experience that's there, that unfortunately you come away with that experience of the rudeness of what you put up with, and the crowds. You can't see anything. You can't get up to anything without crowds and crowds of people, lines of people. And of course now, everywhere you go, you have to pay for everything. When I was a little girl and I first went to Niagara Falls, um, I don't know whether it was on a bus trip or whether my dad took us there, because that's a long time ago. But, and this was in the 50s. And a lot of, like, the way Niagara Falls is now, I mean, it's like it's an entirely different place altogether. All it is now is it's garish, and it's overcrowded, and it's overexpensive, and loud, and just like the nature part. If you can zero in on nature, the falls themselves, and realize how old they are, um, and the noise that the Indian people referred to it as thundering water. Well, it does thunder. It's just, if you can just block everything around you out and listen to the falls themselves, close your eyes and just listen to the falls. It can take you back to, obviously, to what the Indians spoke about. And if you can do that, then a trip to the falls is a nice experience. And I mean, that's even if you can get up to them. I mean, you don't have to be up to them to hear them. You can hear them anywhere in the area. You can hear them. But unfortunately, it's marred with the sounds of traffic and people. So that is a big distraction from the falls themselves. And but still, I have been, since I moved to Niagara here in 1985, I mean, I've been down to Niagara Falls many, many, many times. And whenever I go there, I still marvel at the falls, at nature. Nature made these, but the glaciers left these. And it's all done through time and nature. And it's there for whoever wants to look at it, listen to it, and enjoy it. And just block everything else out that is around it. It is pleasurable. And I think you would find your time well spent. But as I say, it's a big difference from the falls of my childhood, even the falls in 1985 when I came here, to what it is today. It's so changed. All around, it's so built up. There's hotels everywhere. There's casinos. There's wax museums. There's fun houses. It's very garish, especially Clifton Hill. Souvenir places, people out on the streets trying to get you into their shops, buy this, buy that, tour this, tour that. But in order to do it, you pay, and you pay handsomely. I'm certainly not going to win the latest job offer for a tour guide now, am I? It's okay. I don't think I don't think I would want to be a tour guide in Niagara Falls. And then I won't even get into Marineland. What a ripoff that is. And it wouldn't bother me in the least if that place was shut down tomorrow, because it's great for kids to be able to go and see all this marine life and all these different things that kids can see at Marineland. But if all of these creatures were cared for the way they should be, then Marineland would be a nice place. But that has not happened, and until it does, there's no way that I'm going to sing its praises, because everyone does not love Marineland, regardless of what the commercial tries to tell you. No, far from it. I was thinking about, like, when I sit here and I talk and hope whatever's coming out of my head is legible and makes sense. Thinking back about the beginning of, when I first started out publishing, and some of the encounters I had, I've talked about some of those in earlier videos that I've done. And I remember the one thing that I haven't spoken about, and this is trying to get people to pay attention to what it is that you're doing. I remember one time, this was very early, this would have been back probably with the two-part Passion in Paris. It might have even been when I did the grand scale novel Passions in Paris. And I was trying to confirm, get somebody to let me come and do a book signing. I mean, you don't have to buy the books or anything. I'll bring the books, this type of thing. Because when you do it on consignment, that you have to do it that way. But I remember calling different places. Kojiko Cable here was one place because I was trying to get some connections to the local paper and stuff like that, because nowadays there's and even then there is very little information or direction for anybody trying to contact anybody directly. And so I finally got a hold of this woman. This was at the paper and the St. Catharines Standard, and I told her who I was, Rusty Blackwood. I'm a local author. I'm self-published, and I was wondering if I could, excuse me, if I could get someone to come and do an interview with me, so that I can announce and talk about my book and bring more awareness to it and let people know where they can get it from me, this type of thing. Because at that time, I wasn't in any stores because I couldn't get anybody to pay attention enough. And so she said, well, like, just because you wrote a book, that might be important to you, but that doesn't mean that anybody else is going to care. So I thought, okay, well, she's honest about it. Yeah, uh, I would always, every time, I would rather honesty up front than, lead you along and then tell you to, go away. But so she said, well, if you can talk about that you're going to be at some event, then you can call me back. But in the meantime, you know, go away. And so I thought, well, that's like cutting off your nose to spite your face, because, oh, well, we will give you some coverage if you can have an event, but we can't give you any connections to anybody to get an event. And that's like, you apply for a job and you have the qualifications, but you don't have the experience. So therefore, you got to have the qualifications, but you've got to also have the experience, yet nobody's giving you a job in order for you to gain experience. It just, to me, it just doesn't make sense. It's stupid. And so this is what she said. So I thought, well, okay, all you can do is keep on keeping on. And so I remember that particular mall, the Niagara Square down in Niagara Falls, no longer there. But at that time, they had a Kohl's in there, bookstore. It was kind of a small one, but it doesn't matter. And I mean, Penn Center Kohl's is not huge by any means, but it's a fantastic store simply because they've got good management, and they've got management that uses common sense. But going back to what I was going to say about Niagara Square Kohl's, I contacted the manager there, and there again told her who I was and the book that I had, and was wondering if I could possibly have a book signing there, hold a book signing in the store. And the first thing she says to me, are you in the system? And I have to admit, as I say, at that time, I was so naive. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what these different phrases meant. And so when she said that to me, I kind of, like, was she talking about? Because I didn't know what it meant. And so I said, excuse me, what do you mean in the system? She said, is your book in the computer? And I was, like, well, I wrote it on a computer. There again, this is showing how raw I was. And I said, I said I wrote my manuscript. When I wrote the book on a computer, of course, and it's self-published through a self-publishing company where the business takes place back and forth online. She says, no, that's not what I mean. She said, are you in the system in the bookstore? And I said, no, no, I don't think so, no. And she just was very blunt about it. And she just said, well, if you're not in the system, you're not in the store. Clunk. Up goes the phone. Very rude. No explaining to me what being in the system meant. And what it means is all Cole's chapters are part of Indigo in Canada. It may differ different in the States with Barnes & Noble and all the different book outlets they have in the States. But in Canada, the big one is Indigo. And the rest are all under the Indigo banner. And what it means is different stores can take the titles of your book and put it into their files, into the system, in their store's system, showing that whatever title it is, that Cole's Chapters Indigo carries that title. You can get it through any one of those three stores, those three names. And she could have told me that, but no, just, you're not in the system, you're not in the store. But this is what it was like. This was what trying to get people to pay attention enough. Like, I'm just trying to get some information here. But no. And over the years and through experience, this is how you gain knowledge and know how to go about things and what different things mean. I did quite a few book signings at Seaway Mall Coles in Welland with Willow's Walk before I finally had the manager there say, well, I'm putting Willow's Walk in the system. And by that time, I knew what it meant. And I thought, oh, wonderful, like Willow's in the system. And what that also means, if it's in the system, then anybody can go in to any one of those three bookstores, and go to the order desk, because they're not carried in all those stores, only just a few in my own area. And you can go in and go to the order desk or the kiosk or go right up to the cash and order the book, and they'll get it in for you. And I think with Passions in Paris, it's in the chapter system, because you can get the Kobo of Passions in Paris at any chapters by just going in and ordering it. And you could order the paperback as well that way. But the Durwood comedy series is not in the system of any of these stores yet and all, because it has an ISBN number, which is the identification number of the book. All you have to do is go in and give the title to whoever you're talking to, and they can order that. They just put in the name, and it will come up. But definitely for books that are in the system, and because The Perils of Autumn is published differently, it's still self-publishing company, Tellwell Talent, but they supply the different stores with books. So it works differently. I had explained that in an earlier video, how that works. But it's a wonderful system, the way they do it. And now that I'm working on the follow-up to The Perils of Autumn, entitled Return to Autumn, it just carries the story on from where it leaves off in the first to the finish. And I will be doing that one as well with Tellwell. I just like the way it works. It's so much easier. It's easier to keep track of. No invoices, no worrying about consignment percentage and all of this kind of stuff. And so there we go with video 11, and I hope that I've covered some topics that you've enjoyed. Maybe found some things out that you didn't know before, whether you cared to or you didn't. I mean, if you're tuning in to my videos, you're obviously a reader, and you like books and things like that, and so this is why you check it out. So I mean, I talk about different things, just not only about books, but different things. But primarily, the subjects are about books and the business of books and what it's like to be an author. And I love it. I have the time now to devote to it whenever I want, for as much as I want or as little. And I do. I enjoy sitting down at my keyboard and working on a story that can take me anywhere in the world, in any situation, anywhere in the universe, not just the world, anywhere. It just depends on what's inspired you, how you perceive it, and the way you want to project it. And like I said before, don't ever let anybody, young writers, don't ever let anybody tell you you can't do it, because only you know what's inside here and have the passion in here to do it. So research, find out what it is that you want to write about, find out what you need to know, and let your imagination soar, have fun, and go for it. Don't be disappointed. If sometimes things can set you back, but you hang in there, you stay resilient, and you keep enjoying what it is that you're doing, and you'll reap the rewards from it in more ways than one. There's a lot more to writing books than book sales. It's what it brings you inside, the accomplishment that you have and you receive of knowing, I did this. That's my name on the cover of that book. And that book came out of here and out of my soul. So enjoy. And I thank you again for tuning in this video and all the ones that you have so far. I will be doing the very last video next week after school is back in and things quiet down a little bit more, and I get through wedding weekend for my granddaughter Carson. I am just so excited. I can't wait. And I got to see her wedding dress yesterday. My lips are sealed. Nobody's finding out anything about it except the fact that it is perfection personified. I have never ever seen my granddaughter look so lovely. And I can't wait for her special day to marry this wonderful, wonderful young man that came into her life quite a few years ago. So I think it's just wonderful. So with that, I'm going to say farewell for now. I thank you again so very much, each of you, and please comment the videos, share them on if you will, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, and I hope you continue to return and spend some time with me on my patio or wherever I am. And so God's blessings to each of you. You take care, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and I'll talk to you soon. So long for now.